Did you know that white women owned enslaved people? Yeah. According to Stephanie Jones Rogers' book, They Were Her Property, white women were not passive bystanders to the brutalities of slavery. They were active participants. Before the Civil War, white women were able to own enslaved people. They were active and violent participants in the slave market. They bought, sold, managed, and sought the return of enslaved people in whom they had a vested economic interest. I know, when you think of enslavers, you think of white men from the South. In actuality, 1850 and 1860 census shows that up to 40% of white women in the South owned enslaved black people. Slaveholding parents typically gave their daughters more enslaved people than land. They would gift their daughters enslaved people upon birth, their 21st birthday, and marriage and death. It was a way for them to accumulate wealth that was not tied to their husbands. Owning a large number of enslaved people made a woman a better marriage prospect. Once married, white women fought in courts to preserve their legal ownership over enslaved people as opposed to their husband's ownership, and they often won. Jones Rogers says that slavery gave white women freedom, autonomy, and agency that they could not exercise in their lives without it, so they deeply invested in it. As adults, white women often tore black women away from their babies so they could nurse the white mistress's baby instead. To this end, white women placed thousands of advertisements in newspapers looking for enslaved wet nurses to feed their own children and created a huge market for enslaved black women who had recently given birth. Additionally, according to Jones Rogers, there were instances in which formerly enslaved people did, in fact, say that their mistresses either sanctioned acts of sexual violence against them that were perpetrated at the hands of white men, or that they orchestrated instances of sexual violence between two enslaved people that they owned in hopes of producing children from those acts of violence. White women also fought to maintain the wealth and free labor that slavery provided them through the Civil War. As Union troops made their way through the South, freeing enslaved people, white women would move enslaved people farther from the soldiers' path. One woman, Martha Gibbs, even took enslaved people to Texas and forced them to work for her at gunpoint until 1866, a year after slavery's formal abolition.